Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the anti-TBR tag and talking about some books that I will never read, books that I am not interested in, books that are not for me. I feel like it's been ages since I've done anything negative. Not that that's like a good or a bad thing, I just feel like it's been quite a while. Maybe I needed a little break after filming that June review and the response from that. I guess I did a worst books of the year for 2021, but I just feel like it's been a long time since I've done any ranting. And I thought, I've done a lot of positivity things, lots of positive content, lots of positivity. Let's just mix in some negativity because lots of people love a rant. Lots of people love a good rant. Okay, and I don't know, maybe I do have some spicy hot takes here, but I don't know. I don't feel like they're that spicy. So we'll see. You can let me know on like the level of spice down below, like how many, how spicy and salty you think I've been on a rating of 1 to 5. A popular book everyone loves that you have no interest in reading. And there are a few things that I thought about before I settled on this one, but I have never had any interest in reading The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. That book has never appealed to me. It's just never appealed to me. It just never has. It has a really pretty blue to the cover, but I've just never been interested in it. And the thing is, I'm interested in like Greek retellings. I am quite interested even in Circe, but I've never been interested in The Song of Achilles. Maybe because I feel like I know how it ends, and like maybe because I have that expectation of it, I haven't really had the desire to read it because I'm like, well, what's it going to do is it going to surprise me? Because I know where it's going, I know where it's heading, but I've just never had any desire. But everyone loves it. It's like, it's been out for a while, like it was always quite popular on BookTube and like now, but then now like BookTok seems to be running with it as well. Like it's really, really popular. It's a really popular book, and I'm like, every time I say it, I'm like, nah, maybe Circe, but I've never had a desire to read The Song of Achilles. Question number 2 is a classic book or author you don't have any interest in reading. And I had to think about this, like classics are not something that I read a lot of. I am fine with reading classics, but it's just not something that I gravitate towards reading a lot of. I read quite a few in school. I do aim to try and read like at least one a year. So last year I read Emma. I probably will be reading Mansfield Park this year, but it's not something that I read a lot of. It just isn't. I find like you can get something out of them, but I don't like gravitate towards them. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. I guess if you're thinking of ones that I'm not so interested in, then it's the chunkers. I'm not really so interested in reading some of the like big epic Russians, like the War and Peace, Crime and Punishment. I'm not so interested in. They just look very, very long. I hardly even know what they're about, but they just look really long and intimidating. The French ones, there's some really big French ones as well. And I guess the thing is, as a French speaker, if I was going to read them, I'd want to read them in French, and then that makes them even more intimidating. I'm like, Les Miserables, it looks intimidating in English, but it looks even more intimidating if I was thinking if I was going to read this in French. I just keep getting more and more deterred from reading it. But I would say never, but I think I would be more interested in going to see the theatre production for Les Mis than reading the book, which I haven't done, but I do want to. Those would be some examples. I'm sure there's loads of other ones I wouldn't be so interested in reading. I think I'm a bit more picky now when looking at some of the classic authors and seeing if I think they would work for me or not. An author whose books you have no interest in reading. So I thought of 2 answers for this. I'm not interested in reading Sally Rooney. And I get it, like she's not the genre that I read from, so that's why. She's a very popular like author, very like well read. I watched oh dear, I just changed my screen. I watched the TV show Normal People, and I liked it in the TV show format. Like for TV, I don't really watch fantasy TV. I like real world TV, like drama. Like give me the drama on a TV show. I want to see just everything dramatic, and I guess normal people delivered that, but I didn't feel like it had a satisfying arc because it didn't really go anywhere. And I think if I was reading that as a book, I would just be infuriated. I'm okay with contemporary things. Like I enjoy a romance, but contemporary real world life, just seeing people doing their daily thing and just being annoying people, I'm like, no, where's the magic? Where's the dragons? Where's the fun adventure? I don't want to be reading about people that whose lives could easily compare to mine, because I'm living that. I don't need to know that I'm living a life that has similarities to mine. I want to be reading about people who are going off on adventures and being assassins or secret passageways and magic. So I've not been interested in that. But if I was to think about an author within the fantasy sphere, I have never been interested in reading Terry Pratchett. Sorry, Alan. And I feel like that's a bit of a crime as a British person, and him being British as well. But his books have never appealed to me. They never have. And I mean, maybe they're great. Maybe they really are. But they've never really appealed. There's just nothing about them really appeals to me. I'm like, maybe there's too much magic. They feel really, really quirky. And maybe they're just a bit too quirky for me. I don't know. I mean, I've never like actively tried to read his books. I've just never had the desire. You know, there is like, I think I've got some answers coming up where there are some authors, and you can't put a finger on why you don't want to read them. Or like some books, I don't know why I don't want to. I just don't know. Like there isn't like a logical explanation of why you don't want to read some person's books. But that's how I feel about Terry Pratchett. And I'm sorry, I feel like that might be my saltiest, spiciest hot take. Question number 4. An author you have read a couple of books from and have decided their books are not for you. Okay, there are a few authors that I will be giving second tries to. Say Robin Hobb, I've tried one of her books, it wasn't for me, but I'm going to give her another try, and I will try Live Ship Traders, and then I will make an executive decision. Feels like a business meeting. I will make the executive decision over whether Robin Hobb is for me or not after giving her a second try. But this author I have given multiple tries to, and I really tried. I really, really tried, and we just haven't got along. And that's N.K. Jemisin. And I wish I liked her books. I wish I did. But I read the whole of the 5th season trilogy, all 3 books. I read them all, and they were all just okay. Like, I didn't even mind the second person perspective. Like, I didn't mind that. And then I also read The City We Became by her. So I've given her 4 books. 4 books. I really tried. I really wanted N.K. Jemisin to be for me. And part of me still does. Part of me is still like, I really want N.K. Jemisin to be for me. But I know now. I have experienced 4 of her books. I know that her writing and me don't click. I think her premises, I think she has really interesting premises. But the way that she writes doesn't work for me. And so that's a shame, because I've heard people talk about, I think it's the Dream Blood duology, the one that's Middle Eastern, Egyptian inspired. And I'm like, this sounds so good. And normally I would pick this up, but it's N.K. Jemisin. Like, if I heard about this book, and it was written by someone else, I would jump to read it. But I know that me and her writing style don't click, and I'm sad about it. I'm sad because I wish I could support her. I wish I could, because she has done so much for like fantasy and sci-fi, and I wish I could support her. I wish I could, but I've tried. No, she's not for me. She's just not for me. But she does work for a lot of people, so she probably is for you. Question number 5 is a genre you have no interest in, or a genre you have tried to get into and couldn't. So I feel like I'm pretty open with trying different genres. I do pretty much stick to fantasy. I love fantasy, but the genres that I go through will be like fantasy, sci-fi, romance will be my top 3. I will then mix in a few non-fiction, and I guess I would read a few historical. I used to read a lot more historical fiction, but I don't so much anymore. But thinking about ones that I just don't gravitate towards, there are certain aspects of non-fiction that I have no interest in. Like, I don't really have any interest in reading biographies, really. I have been interested in Know My Name by Chanel Miller. I've been interested in that one, but biographies as a whole isn't something that I've been that interested in. I've also never really been interested in like historical fact books. I love history. I did a year of it. I loved it in school. I did a year of it at uni before I changed to doing French and Spanish. But when I see like historical non-fiction, it just looks so dry. I feel like if I wanted to learn about history, I would watch the TV, or I'd listen to a podcast, or I'd want someone to tell me it. Maybe it would be fine if it was an audiobook, I don't know. But when I see those historical non-fictions, I'm like, no interest. I mean, it probably does depend on the time period. Like they could be talking about anything and everything, like all of history. And actually, I mean, there are a few, like, I think it's The Devil in the White City, which is supposedly, it is non-fiction, but it's written like fiction. Like, there probably are examples of ones that I would give a try. But as a whole, when I see that section in the bookstore, I'm like, no, thank you. No. Question number 6 is a book you have bought that you will never read. So actually, I've got a few of these. So if you've not seen, I did a video, which was the Try a Chapter unhaul edition. So I tried 5 first chapters of 5 books that I had on my TBR, and I decided to unhaul 2 of them. So I will link that up above if you want to watch that first, but if you're not interested in it, then the 2 that I decided to unhaul were The Legacy of Kings by Eleanor Herman and The Traitor Barry Cormorant. So I read the first chapter and decided these weren't for me. Both of these have sat on my shelf for many, many years, and I have now decided that these have sat here for too long and I have not had the desire to pick them up, and neither of the first chapters really grabbed me. This one just felt quite like 2014, 2015 YA, and this one, me and the writing style just did not click. We didn't click at all. No. We didn't really work. So I've decided that I'm going to pass both of these along, and yeah, they would fit into this. These are books that I have, both of these I bought, and both of these I will never read. So there we go. There we go. Another one that I could add to that was The Witcher, which it's already gone. It's already left the house. It's already made its journey off into someone else's home. So that was another one that I bought and then unhauled because I decided it wasn't going to be for me. And then question number 7, a series you have no interest in reading, or a series you started and have DNF'd. So there are a couple of like older fantasy works that are very large. Maybe I'm a commitment phobe. I mean, I love series, but as soon as a series has too many books, I'm like, no, way too many. But as of right now, I do not have any interest in reading Malazan or Wheel of Time. Both of these, I guess, are considered like epic adult fantasies. Both of them are written by men. Both of them are, well, older adult epic fantasies. I feel like, I mean, they do appeal to the same audience, but I think there is also a different audience. Like, I think Malazan is more philosophical and more like a thematic thought experiment, but again, very long. And Wheel of Time is more fun, maybe, but it's like 14 books when everyone talks about the slog in the middle, and I just don't think it will be for me. Like, there are so many other authors and books that I want to support that aren't these 2 series. So as of right now, I have no interest in them. I'm not saying that, I never say never, but as of right now, I don't have any interest in reading either of those series. And then if you're thinking about series that I've started and DNF'd, I have like 50 of them. I did a video towards the beginning of my channel where I chatted through all of the series that I have DNF'd. And then last year I did an update and talked about all the series that I've DNF'd within the last year. But I haven't done, I guess, like a full collective list in a while. I'm not very good at DNFing a book. Once I start a book, I generally like to commit to reading the whole thing through. But I'm very good at finishing a book and going, this series isn't for me, let's just move on with our lives and start another series. Because in my head, I'm like, well, if the thought of continuing that series doesn't excite me, then what's the point in continuing in that series? I might as well start a series that I'm really excited about and start that one and read that one. So I think in my lifetime, I've DNF'd like 50 odd series. Like, I've read the first book and decided that I'm not going to keep going because what's the point? So yeah, I can link both those videos if you're interested in checking it out, or I guess at some point I could do like a comprehensive overview again of all the series that I've DNF'd in my lifetime. Alongside, I still do want to do like the series that I've completed in my lifetime, because I've completed like 100 odd series now. So I do still want to do that video. I'm just intimidated by it. And then the final question is a new release you have no interest in reading. So I was struggling a little bit with thinking about which series I have, or which book I have no interest in reading that's within the fantasy genre, because that's generally what I read. I mean, there's so many new releases that I have no interest in reading, but they're not in the genres that I read. Like, I have no interest in reading, I think it's To Paradise by Hanya Yanagihara. Like, I don't have interest in reading that, but it wouldn't be a book I'd pick up anyway, because it's not something that I would gravitate towards. So I don't feel like that's a big thing that I'm not reading that new release. So I was trying to think of like a new release within like the fantasy genre or fantasy sci-fi genre that I have no interest in. This did come out last year, so maybe like 6 months ago, and that is Empire of the Vampire by J. Kristoff. This again is probably one of those books where if it was written by someone else, I would be interested in reading it, because who wouldn't want like a vampire resurgence? Who wouldn't want that? Like, I enjoyed like Teenage Abby, loved Twilight, I loved it. So I mean, I'd happily read a vampire book. I would happily have a vampire resurgence within fantasy, but I don't want it to be J. Kristoff that does it, because I have read a few of his books and I have seen some of the problematic things that he has said on the internet, and I think I was just like, we're done. We're done. We're done. If that book was written by someone else, I would probably read it, but by him, no. So I guess that is quite a popular new release that I am not too interested in reading or supporting that author. That was the only one I could really think of. Like, I was trying to think of like big popular new releases, and either I want to read them, like I did read House of Sky and Breath when that came out, and that's like a pretty big release. And then I was like struggling to think, I was like, what's a really big release that everyone's going to read that I have no interest in? And I was coming up blank. So I went back to last year and had a look at the releases that I'm not interested in. And that was the one that stood out. So here are some of my unpopular opinions. Let me know if you think that I've been, if I've been too ranty, or if you think my answers are like pretty fair. I don't know. Like, I think it's hard to judge how unpopular your own opinions can be. In my head, I'm like, I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty comfortable with these opinions. I'm pretty comfortable in them. So I don't feel like they're that like ranty or unpopular, but actually I don't know compared to like the general population, like how these compare. So we'll just leave it at that. Let me know what your most unpopular opinion is. Like, let me know, yeah, what for you is like your biggest hot take. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye.